Welcome to Earshot Jazz Festival, and my guest is the Mr. Benjamin Hunter from the Benjamin Hunter Quintet, the much-loved Hillman City violinist and guitarist, mandolinist, singer, teller of tales of slavery, reconstruction, reconciliation, and still broken promises. Mr. Hunter blends musical disciplines to stirring, compassionate effect. Mr. Hunter plays with Camilo Estrada on bass, Darius Wilrich on keys, Ricardo Guiti on percussions, and Chris Patine on drums. They'll play music that explores the black diaspora, and of course, it's all original. And I'm excited to be able to have this conversation again. When we say much loved Hillman City violinist, that is the truth. Mr. Benjamin Hunter. Ben, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Tony?
Under the circumstances, fantastic. Excited to have this opportunity to talk to you. And before we really get started on this conversation, I want to say congratulations. And how's the newborn?
I love being a father so much. It brings I don't know how to give this advice because I don't know the next time we'll have a pandemic or for how long, but people should have a kid during a pandemic. Just because, I'm home all the time and I get to hang out with him and we get to play and be together all the time and he brings me a joy that, I don't know if I would have during this time.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. Let's give a little background information on you and kind of parallel that with your journey in music.
Sure. Is that the question?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
That's it.
the floor is yours. They want to hear from you.
I've been playing the violin since I was 5, and I was a really lucky child, in that my mom really valued travel and world experience, and it was just me and my mom, and so it was easy for us to travel. It was easier to travel because there was just 2 of us. So I got a really early education on what it meant to be a part of the world, and I think that had a really everlasting effect on me and my likes and tastes, and so I grew up listening to a lot of music coming from Africa and South America and Europe and across the United States, and so it's kind of helped form what I want to do with my music, and since then, since graduating from college, I've spent a lot of my time trying to find the intersection between music and community and culture and activism, and voice, and so I think all that's kind of wrapped up into whatever journey that I'm trying to take with my musical practice and storytelling and yeah, I guess that's it in a nutshell. And yeah, I ever since when I moved to Seattle after college, I was living in Greenwood. I didn't know anything about Seattle, and then I got a job in Columbia City at a small nonprofit called Arts in Motion, and I remember stepping off the bus and being like, where has this place been all my life? In Seattle. And so I immediately. I think it was pretty immediately. I found a house down here and some roommates, and I moved down here, and I've been down here ever since. And it's been a blessing to be a part of the South Seattle community.
You have been integrally involved in the community of South Seattle. And for you, how does that work in regards to, you talked about it a little bit, starting with your 5 and traveling the world. How does that work in blending that combination of activism, of being a business person, and then being a creator of music as well? Sometimes those things are difficult to combine. How does that work out for you?
Um, I don't know. To me, they're all interrelated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yesterday I was giving a talk to some high school students through jazz ed. I'm a teacher for jazz ed, and the topic was protest music. And you know, I was telling these high school students, you know, you can sing protest music all you want, but it's not going to mean anything unless you know why it is that that this song was written in the first place, or what this protest music was about, what the history is, who the people are involved, who is the oppressor, who are the oppressed, who are they fighting for, what are they talking about. And so, you know, I don't think when I think of people that have written music or engaged in protest or activism, you know, it's not about writing the song that everybody's going to hear. It's about it starts with you and your journey, and hopefully, you know, you can have relationships with your family or your friends or your neighbors or your community that help amplify and help you comprehend what it is that you're a part of. And you know, I think it's taken a long time, and it's going to continue to take a long time, you know, to listen and just be aware of your surroundings and your environment, and hopefully that kind of sneaks its way into your creative process and the music that I write, at least. You know, it's taken me a while to find my personal creative voice. I've spent a really long time interpreting old blues and field hollers and American roots music and world folk music. And it's taken me a long time to figure out just exactly what my voice is and how I want to express myself through songs that I've written myself. So, you know, these songs that are coming out through Earshot are you know, are kind of, it's a new thing for me. I wrote music for Black Boys a couple of years ago, and that was a very new thing for me. And so I'm really thrilled to be, and nervous, but I'm thrilled to be able to you know, share stuff that's coming from my voice.
My guest again is Benjamin Hunter of the Benjamin Hunter Quintet. This is Earshot Jazz Festival. And Ben, it sounds like your community work and your music are intrinsically intermingled. Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with your instruments as you're creating music. The way you describe it, again, is it's part of what you do. What was the first instrument that you had the opportunity to put your hands on and make music with?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, I, I think the violin had to have been the first instrument that I was given real instruction on,
Mm-hmm.
but you you know, maybe piano
Okay.
or drums. I remember as a kid just being really involved and excited about music and dance in general. You know, I took ballet. I remember the first time I picked up a guitar, I learned La Bamba. You know, I dabbled in saxophone and trumpet and drums in elementary school. I just really liked to play music
Mm-hmm.
and dance. And I think I, I I I can't tell you if I remember like the feeling. My mom and I have different stories about
Mm-hmm.
me wanting to play the violin. She says I wanted to play it, and I said that that was the only instrument that she would allow me to play. so I don't, you know, I remember wanting to play the drums, and she was like, absolutely not. We are not having a drum set in the house. So I think I just kind of, I was just drawn to music, period, you know?
Let's talk a little bit about the quintet and the particular players that you're going to be that you're playing with that you know, help you create the sound for your original works.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm you know, I'm really excited. I think these cats have been you know, I've reached out to them for a while. They were predominantly the ensemble for Black Boys. Ricardo is a new addition. I'm excited to play with him. I've wanted to play with him for a long time. Camilo, I can't even remember when I first met Camilo. But you know, he had a band, he has a band called The New Triumph, and I think maybe that's how I first was introduced to him. He's a partner with me in the Black and Tan Hall, and so we have that relationship. Chris, I met through another artist who now lives in Atlanta, Shantina Vernon, a writer and musician and multi-talented artist. When she took a cohort of folks to Cuba with her to explore the relationship between Afro-Cuban and Afro-American music and history and experience. And so Chris and I we were roommates, and we would, you know, walk the streets of Havana and Vinales together and you know, seek out music and hang out. And so I think we really connected on that level and learned a lot about each other. And so I was really eager to play with him in other contexts. And Darius, you know, is Darius, you know, like he plays all over and all kinds of stuff. He does the Prince versus Michael Jackson stuff. He's been playing music and writing music for a really long time. And I really enjoy his style of play. And again, Ricardo, I've never played with, but I've seen him play in a variety of different ensembles. And what I really am excited about with him is that, you know, he plays percussion, but he plays in so many different styles, and is really connected to the diaspora of folk music, of African diaspora, Black diaspora of folk music, and I think he brings just a wealth of knowledge and experience that I think really comes through, and I'm just really excited to have this entire cast, because they all bring a very specific and comprehensive, I think, lens to the music that I'm trying to pull together here.
It's me, Tony B of Rainier Avenue Radio World. My guest, Earshot jazz performer Benjamin Hunter of the Benjamin Hunter Quintet. Ben, when you're creating original music and then you take it to the stage and you're putting together a band, what is it that you're looking for the band? Do you want the music to be as you created it, because of where you were at when you created the music? At that point, does it become interpretive depending on the musician? When you're forming a band, what are the things that you're doing when you're saying, I'm about to present my music and this is what I'm looking for?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, I like to be, there's part of me that, as a folk musician, you know, as somebody that is, you know, I've studied folk music, you know, academically, but also just interpretively myself. And I think there's an aspect to it where you have to let go of the reins and trust the musician's own interpretation of the music and how they do their instrument. You know, I can spend all day in a studio and you know, write out bass lines or think about you know, percussive elements or what I might want a piano to do, but I don't play those instruments like they do. You know, I play the violin and I play the guitar and I play the mandolin and I can sing and I can do stuff, and I think what I really look forward to is finding the groove and finding that pocket where everybody kind of brings their own style to it. I've listened to jazz my whole life, and but I was never in jazz ensembles, and I don't think I necessarily, you know, perhaps I have the skill set, but I don't think I have the yearning to write music that is played note for note how I write it in my head. That's not as important to me as finding a group of musicians that have style and swagger and a groove that they bring to the music themselves. That's what excites me about music in the first place. I mean, so much of the music that I play is jam based. So much of it is like staying up till 2, 3, 4 a.m., you know, with a couple beers and some laughs and just and trading solos and trading riffs and creating together. And, you know, raised in that kind of environment, outside of the classical environment that I was brought up with is the complete opposite. You know, note for note is how you play. I just enjoy that collaborative experience so much more. And that's not to say that, you know, classical music or jazz written as is written on a page isn't powerful. I just don't know if I yearn to create that kind of music yet, right now, at this moment in my life.
At this point of the journey, huh?
At this point in the journey, you know, maybe when I get older and maybe wiser or maybe more stalwart in my opinions, I'll want things to be played just as is. But I think right now I'm content with seeing how other people bring things to the table.
Well, Ben, man, it's been great having this opportunity, albeit briefly, to have this discussion with you about music. You do so many
Likewise.
things in the community, you know, and, that we appreciate as well. But everyone respects and loves your talent and this opportunity to see you perform. And we're excited, man, to be able, as Rainier Avenue Radio, to present you at South Seattle's and Columbia Cities. I want to give you the opportunity here for final words before we go. Again, my guest, Benjamin Hunter of the Benjamin Hunter Quintet.
Thank you, Tony. I thank you for the work that you do. I'm humbled by the opportunity to be engaged with folks like you and all the other members of this community that lend their heart and their time and their experience to whatever it is that we strive for to make this community as whole as it can be. You know, liberation is an age-old practice, and I wish that we understood that more inherently. But I think that the community does appreciate that and understand that to a certain extent, and I'm just humbled to be able to be a part of that experience. So thank you for helping me and being a part of that.
Thanks, Ben. It's me, Tony B. from Rainier Avenue Radio.world. My guest, again, Benjamin Hunter of the Benjamin Hunter Quintet. You are listening to the Earshot Jazz Festival 2020.